Shalom Mubaraka, Mispaka, peace and blessings, family. In this video, we're going to be talking about 1212, the significance of it. But first, let us talk about the crystal of today. This is a sodalite stone. Sodalite is a type of lazurite, which is related to lapis lazuli, which is related to sapphire. Sapphire is a stone that is actually Yahuwah's, the creator of heaven and earth, favorite stone. Sapphire is the same stone that Yahuwah sits upon. His throne is made out of sapphire. Sapphire is also the throne that when Yahuwah came to earth and stood upon Mount Sinai, he stood on a block of paved sapphire. Yep, that's his favorite stone, his favorite crystal, sapphire. So this is gonna be a little bit different than my normal numerology videos, simply because I'm not gonna be doing all the editing that I normally do. I'm gonna be writing on a whiteboard. 1212 is Benjamin. Benjamin was the last son of Yaakov. He was the 12th son. Now understand that 12 is indeed the number of balance. 12 is a number of balance. All right. So when you see 12 and you're seeing 12 a lot, just remember this is a sign of divine balance. Divine balance. It's telling you that you need to balance something in your life. Maybe something is not balanced already and you need to work on balancing it some more. Maybe you're being too angry. You need to balance your emotions. Maybe you're not laughing enough, or maybe you're not having enough time to do the things you want to do, or maybe you're not spending enough time to do the things you need to do, or maybe, you're not spending enough time with your family. It could mean whatever it means, or it can mean maybe you're being too greedy, maybe you're not giving enough, and we're gonna get to that. But let me break it down for you. Benjamin's blessing, it said in Genesis 49 and 27, it said he will raven as a wolf. In the morning will he devour his prey, but in the evening will he divide his spoil. So it said he would do two things: raven and he would divide. So he would raven, I'm sorry, I know you can't see that. And in the morning will he devour his flesh. Now, but raven, what does that mean? That means it can mean catch, it can mean spoil, it can mean steal. Catch, steal, rob. It can mean to hunt. It can mean to anything along that line. That's what raven means, like a wolf does. The wolf hunts his prey, he catches his prey. That's what it means to raven. So in other words, Benjamin is gonna put in as much work as needed to eat. By any means, the tribe of Benjamin will work for his food. Even if he got to hunt for it, even if he got to rob for it, even if he got to even if he got to plunder for it. It's kind of a negative connotation. Anything that's ravenous, anything that spoils and steals, it's looked at as a negative connotation. However, it said in the evening he would divide his spoil. Now, the word divide in Hebrew, it just means to share. That means he will share his food. So not only does he steal, not only does he hunt and plunder, but he also gives. So Benjamin is a giving tribe who not only catches, spoils, and steals, but they also share and give food away. And it says, in the morning will he devour his prey. So he's going to be eating his stuff. But in the evening will he divide his spoil, meaning he's also going to share and give it away. Meaning there is a balance between Benjamin. Benjamin, his actions are balanced. And that's what takes us back to divine balance. And sometimes he does evil so that he can do good. Now, that brings us back to Benjamin, how he was brought into this world. His life was a warning for everybody. Don't eat too much salt. Now, what do I mean by that? Because the story says nothing about salt. You're not going to read anything about salt. But what do I mean about that? Well, Benjamin was the only son of Jacob who was born in the Holy Land. But the specific part of the Holy Land that he was born in was the area that was right next to the Salt Sea. Now, if you go back into the history of that time, before they lived in that area, they lived in Haran, which was a forested woodlands around mountains. The people did not eat salt. They did not have a way to get salt. Salt was not a very widespread commerce. It was not something that was in high demand because people didn't really know much about it in that area. They lived in like the wooded mountains. And then they came back to the Holy Land, and then they stumbled by the Salt Sea, where everybody is selling and trading salt, eating salt. And it's a big commerce, it's a big industry in that area because it's right next to the Salt Sea, where there's a valley of salt and a flat of salt. So with that being said, Rachel probably had salt for the first time in her life around the time when she got pregnant with Benjamin. And she probably, overindulged in it because we know salt makes food taste way better. And we're just making the scriptures come alive. None of this stuff I'm telling you is in the scriptures. We're just adding 2 and 2. So, salt makes food taste good. Salt puts sodium in the blood, and sodium is good for the body. However, too much sodium absorbs water into the blood, which causes high blood pressure, also known as hypertension. And little did you know, if you have hypertension while pregnant, that can lead to preeclampsia. Now, if you have preeclampsia when you deliver a baby, then what will happen is you will push the baby out. You're pushing and pushing and pushing. You can pop any of the blood vessels in the body. More commonly, it's in the brain. In other words, it can lead to aneurysm. If you eat too much salt during pregnant, it can lead to aneurysm during birth, which eventually leads to death. If you read about Rachel, she died after she gave birth to Benjamin. Didn't even get to say but 2 words to him, simply naming him Benoni, which means my son of sorrows. Her labor was very intense. It was very hard. And her midwife said, your son will live, but you will die. And don't eat too much salt. Now, this is all speculation. It's a conspiracy. I don't know if it's exactly what happened. I don't know if she was eating a lot of salt. But come on. She was the only wife to die after labor. She was the only wife to give birth around the Salt Sea. It only adds up, if you know what I'm saying. And this is a lesson for us all. If your wife is pregnant, don't let her overindulge in salt. You know what I'm saying? Because salt will cause an imbalance in the body. And this is what 12 is all about. Balance. Now, I know I just went on a rant about salt, but you know what I'm getting at. 12 is a number of balance in many ways. Well, Jacob wrestled with Yah all night. If you understand anything about wrestling, wrestling is not like wrestling is not fighting, it's not boxing, it's not kicking, it's not none of that. It's a different type of, combat. When you're wrestling with somebody, You're grabbing them, and both of you guys are fighting over balance. Whoever can stay balanced the longest in a wrestling match is the winner. In wrestling, whoever stays on the ground the longest is the loser in wrestling. It's not necessarily about hurting or inflicting physical pain to your opponent. It's mostly about who's gonna stand longer, who's gonna last longer, who's gonna balance on their 2 feet. Because Jacob was able to outbalance this angel that he was wrestling, his name was changed to Yasser. And Yah touched the sinew of Jacob's thigh. One of the reasons why the angel touched the sinew of Jacob's thigh is to throw off his balance. There's a muscle right here connecting the hip bones to the muscles of the legs. And when that's dislocated, it's very hard to walk. However, he still was able to walk anyway. So Jacob was the father of balance, or the king of balance. And because he could balance, Yah chose Jacob. And guess what? Yah is all about balance. And 12 is a sacred number of balance. 12 is 3, 3, 3, and 3. 4 threes. And it's 6 and 6. And we have to understand that, simply put, 3 is also a number of balance. Think about a scale has 3 parts of fulcrum, both ends. Think about any type of lever, any type of scale or balance has a fulcrum in the middle and 2 parts on the side. So 3 is also a number that represents balance. Just like the universal Holy Trinity. No, I'm not talking about the Son, Father, and the Holy Ghost. I'm talking about the mind, body, and soul. That's the fundamental aspects of everything in the universe. Everything in the universe, including Yah, All Yan, the angels, and us, were either composed of mind, which is consciousness, a body, which is physicality, and a soul, which is spirit. So everything, when you get to the square root of balance, it always falls down to 3. But 12 is the epitome of balance, because let me tell you this. We know that 12 is 1 and 2. 1 equals unity, but 2 equals division. See, I already broke that down in my other videos. 1 is unity, 2 is division. So if you have unity plus division, what do you have? You have counterintuitive. The reason why it's a contradiction is simply because there's balance. It's not going to be pure. It's not just going to be pure unity. It's not just going to be pure division. There's going to be unity and there's going to be division. Just look at the world. Everybody on earth is divided and unified. Just look at the 12 tribes. The 12 tribes were divided, but they were also unified. And look at Benjamin himself. He was almost wiped off the plain. Read about the war in Judges that all the other tribes came against Benjamin, and almost wiped them off the playing board, bro. That was a effed up story, to be honest with you. Now, Benjamin shared the holy city, Jerusalem, with Judah, who was the 4th son. Remember, 4 is also a divisive number of 12. And when you divide 4 by 12, you get 3, which I said again was the number of balance. Now, let me show you something else. Show you something else. 12 can also be looked at as 10 plus 2, right? We can all agree on that. Now, what did I say 10 means? 10 means to work, and 2 means to divide. I mean, there's many meanings of 2. 2 could also mean production. It can also mean balance, because 2 is also a number of balance, right? We're talking about negative and positive. We're talking about good and bad. We're talking about feminine and masculine. 2, it can mean 3 things: division, balance, and production. But we're just going to be dealing with division here because it's tied into the 12. Now, let me tell you this. How did Benjamin work according to his blessing? According to his blessing, he was supposed to raven as a wolf, so he was supposed to be a ravenous man. By any means will he get his food. By any means will he provide for his family. If he got to hunt for it, if he got to rob for it, if he got to steal for it, if he got to catch it, he gonna go out and get it. That's what it's saying. Benjamin is a hard working tribe by any means. But also he's a very generous tribe. He divides his spoil, right? And that's why we have 10 plus 2. Divide the spoil means to share. He was a giving tribe. To steal and to give is completely contradictory. Just like unity and division is contradictory. But what you have to understand is it's not contradictory. It's actually balance. It's balance. But look, what could 10 also mean? What could 10 also represent? 10 could also represent be grateful for the things that Yahuwah has given you and be grateful for the works of your hands. In my video where I discuss 10, you will see that. Also, another thing 2 could represent is production. Now, with that being said, seeing 12 could represent maybe you should give, maybe you should donate, maybe you should provide for those who cannot provide for themselves. Maybe the widow, the widows, the poor people, the homeless. All those people need people like us as Israelites. We need to be an example. We need to be a stereotype of positivity as Israelites. You know what I'm saying? We're already a stereotype of negativity. You an Israelite? You don't be screaming on the street? That's what the people will say. What we want people to say is, oh, you an Israelite? Ain't you one of them that be helping them people all the time and giving to the homeless? Yeah, because that's what we really commanded to do according to Torah. There's no Torah law that tells us to cuss people out on the street, but there is Torah law that say to help homeless people out on the street. We live in a world where it's all about throw it away, discard of it. You know what I'm saying? Dispose of it. No, you got people who wish they could have that only a few blocks down the street from your house. We just being real here. I know this conversation was supposed to be about numerology, but I just gotta talk about this. You got people who need the same thing you throwing in the trash only a few blocks away from your house. So with that being said, man, always have an open hand to others. Remember, there's 3 numbers that represent balance: 2, 3, and 12. And notice that 12 is divisible both by 2 and 3. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, man, it all makes sense at the end of the day, man. Look what Abraham did in the book of Jasher. He had his house for whenever somebody needed clothing, Abraham would give it to him. Whenever somebody needed food, Abraham would give it to him. Whenever somebody came and they were barefoot, Abraham gave them shoes. And whenever somebody came and they were thirsty, Abraham gave them a drink of water. Whenever somebody came to Abraham's house and they had no place to sleep, Abraham let them sleep upon his land. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have to be a helping person, but by any means you have to go out and get what you need to get. I'm just saying, I don't condone stealing, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, let's say, because stealing is a sin under certain circumstances. People don't realize this, but when you steal from your own people, it's a sin. You understand? However, when you're stealing from your oppressor, it's not a sin. When you're stealing from an enemy nation, it's not a sin. But that don't mean just go start stealing from Walmart. That's not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is, if the economy were to collapse tomorrow and money was nothing, money was literally nothing, and you can just wipe your butt with it and throw it and flush it down the toilet, like Colombia or Venezuela, and you couldn't buy anything anymore. At that point, you have to steal, you have to plunder, you have to raven as a wolf. You have to do whatever you have to do to provide for your family. And that's what I'm telling you. And when you do that, don't hog it for yourself. You got to save some for your brothers. And that's what it's about. It's about balance, man. It's about balance. Because when you think about it, it's like me wanting to get rich and I just keep all the money for myself. No, when I get rich, I'm finna give. Because why? It's balance. I put in all the work myself to get the money, but I'm not going to say just because I put in all the work by myself, I'm going to keep all the money for myself. Nah, it's balance, bro, my brother. When it's balance, you got two contradicting things, but they go together. You understand? Just like white and black, just like day and night, just like bad and good, just like life and death, just like man and woman, just like sun and moon. All that stuff. They're contradicting things. They're opposites, but they go together. You understand? So with that being said, Yah's Allah of balance. You can see He don't want you mixing cattle together. He don't want you mixing plants together. He don't want you mixing, linen and wool together. He want everything balanced. And that's also why you should take care of your body. You want your hormones to be balanced. You want your blood, your blood consistency balanced. You want your pH balanced. You want all that balance. And once see what humans fail to realize is once all the systems of the body are completely balanced, you will never die. Like I literally just said that. You will never die unless Yah himself decides to kill you. Your body will literally keep going if you were to keep all the systems in the body, the lymphatic system, skeletal system, pH, the blood consistency, hormonal system, which is the endocrine system. If you were to keep the respiratory system, if you were to breathe good oxygen, if you were to keep everything simply balanced, which is pretty much impossible in this world. But I'm just saying, if you were able to do that, you would not taste death. Because death is simply the body going under a complete imbalance to where it falls off of homeostasis. Just do the research. That's what happens. Homeostasis is just the body trying to be balanced. When the body leaves homeostasis, that's when it dies. In other words, if I stay in a freezing cold environment, I'm gonna die. If I stay in a very hot environment, I'm gonna die because my body is fighting for balance, but it cannot get that balance. Therefore, it falls off of homeostasis, and I die. If you keep your body on homeostasis, you will live. You understand? Therefore, 12 is telling you, man, balance. Because when you understand balance, you will never taste death. You will not taste death even till the day you die. I know that sounds like a contradiction, but guess what? It's not, because everybody has to die. Y'all's not just going to let you live forever. But at the end of the day, you ain't going to taste death until the day you die. That's all I'm saying. With that being said, people, shalom, barakah, mispakah, peace and blessings. Family.